Hello, and thank you for joining me here on Sew Stitch Hex. I'm Miss Izzy, and today in Bibliofancy, I'm going to be doing a review of the book I was talking about earlier, La Santa Muerte by Tomás Prower. I love it so much. It's so good. It was so great. It was so great. It talks about the mystery school of La Santa Muerte from an actual practitioner. And it has so much good information. I did lots of drawings in it, talking here. There's this really cute thing that I noted, how they talk about evoking, being on, of course, evoking, which I didn't know this till several months ago. Almost 7 or 8 months ago, almost. I didn't learn the difference between evoking and invoking, but it's because I didn't really work with spirits at all, like nada. I just started working with spirits when I learned the difference between evoking and invoking. Into yourself. You are invoking them into your body. Evoking is out here in the, I'm going to say invoke is in environment. It's out here. So like you evoke the spirits of like earth, air, water, fire. You do that out here. I mean, you can invoke them into yourself, but, be careful, because, water, who knows? You might start drowning. Fire, you might run a fever. Who knows what's going to happen? Just, use caution. Use caution when you're working with spirits. That's all I ought to say. Speaking of here, they talk about how you always evoke La Santa Muerte. You do not invoke La Santa Muerte, because this is an essence of death. And this brought up a huge discussion with a lot of the people. And I'm like, why can't you? Well, you're bringing death into your body. You could die, technically, if that's how the spirit took on to you. Because I argue she is described she's a goddess or a deity, specifically, non-judgmental. So she's not really one to pick favoritism. So she might not pick, care. It's not that she doesn't care. She is loving. She is a great deity. She has a lot of followers, especially people in poverty, people in situations of high stress and danger, like the police. This is a big thing in Mexico, thing where police both practice and the cartels, they all practice from here, because she's non-judgmental. She'll help both sides. She has good and she has dark, and I love that she has good and dark. Not all gods and goddesses and deities and saints, they all don't work the same way. And I like the way she works. You work with co-creation magic. Creating with her. She works with you. You can put curses on the police that you're trying to prevent from stopping your business that you need to help feed your family. You can put curses on the Mexican cartels that are making your job harder as an officer. I don't think the cops do, but who knows? They could. I don't judge. Do it. If that's part of your job, I want both sides. Curse war. Just make it a TV show, because I do want to observe, make it exact so I can see the process, see really what's going on, the spell work. I'm not an instigator. I just really want to watch. Spectator. That's okay, right? Spectator, I'm not instigating, I'm spectating. No, I want to see all the things happening. Although I would like some balance, but I'm not picking a side. I just think this is great, because it has this intense history in here. This book has this great intense history talking about the struggles between the two sides. It has these things, which I love. It talks about the start of La Santa Muerte. It talks about the history of the practice, how they tried to get it more publicly accepted by changing the image. And I don't remember the guy, because they talk so much crap about him. I'm like, you know what? I don't like you either anymore. He changed the image of La Santa Muerte as this holy figure, because it's La Santa, the holy death, La Santa Muerte, the Santa or Santo, being holy, not saint, but holy. Although I don't think most people will yell at you if you say saint. I'll get annoyed, but I really like linguistics. I like the specifics of language, the vernacular. I like the specifics. So I'll be the one to yell at you. But no one else will yell at you, just me. So, and I'm pretty cute, so you'll just be like, the cricket's yelling at me again. And then it's like, okay, it's done. It's okay. The squeaky one is. It's fine. But, yeah, They talk about this guy changed her image. He tried to change her from this cloaked skeletal deity into a angelic form. And it's like, no. Like, he put skin on her bones. She's death. She is the skeleton. She is this darkness. You can't have darkness if it looks like it's going to be shopping at like Abercrombie and Finch. Like, it can't look like that. It can't be like super preppy and like, I mean, it can. You can have both, but she's not. In her deepest roots, she is a skeletal figure. If you have nothing, if you can't have her actual form, you would have just a skeleton. That is fine. I found the cutest thing when I first became interested in La Santa Muerte way back. And all I found was just this random skull sitting on, like, as a, like, armrest for a skeleton who has black angel wings. And it's just a naked skeleton leaning on a skull that's really big. And it's like, whoa. I want to know how big that guy was. But just, thinking. It doesn't look like it's frustrated, but I imagine if it had skin, it would look a little agitated because it's thinking hard. Don't know what it's thinking about. Maybe it's thinking about why its friend is like dead. I don't know. But that's the figurine I use to represent her because I think it's really cool. Now, this book has 3 main parts, I believe. It's so hard to like keep track of all the words in my brain. But there are 3 main parts. There's the introduction. And then there is part 1, the history and mythology, which talks about what is this craft? Where does it come from? What is the demographic of the people like? What is the land like that it came from? What is happening politically? And that's where the big thing with the trying to rebrand to make it more popular came in. That's where the problem between the police and the cartels came in. The problems with on the border, sneaking drugs into America or out of America, or back and forth money and all kinds of stuff. These things which honestly crossed my eyes. I'm not good with politics. I'm not good with that. But it was really interesting. Next, they talk about like the tools of the trade. And in between each of these sections, Tomás Prower asks you to take certain time to reflect on like the essence of death. They tell you to take 7 days to reflect. Take longer if you can before you read the next section. I did take time to reflect in between areas, but not in the areas he wanted, because I really, if I love what's going on, I'm reading quickly. But if I need to process the information and really internalize what I'm learning, I need to take a break from that moment. So I took weird breaks, but it was in between highly informational sections. So like the next section being about the look of death, her presence, the colors of death, the tools of death, the veneration of death. They talk about the plants that are commonly used, and they list all of those. They talk about metals, because the different aspects that you would use being incense or herbs, you would use candles and color, like these things that you can use in the craft that are super like basic. Talking about people from background usually being Catholic, knowing these rites and incantations and prayers, that being able to help them in like learning this. Like, you don't have to. You can come from any background and use any other tools that you've taken from any background, because this isn't really a religion per se, though it can be treated as such. This text here is about the school of mysteries being the philosophical idea. A mystery school is a like overarching thing, like Buddhism being more of a philosophy rather than a worship or a religious practice and worship. I mean, you can use it in this way, but typically you use it in the other way as a way to add further definition to your current practice. So I study lots of the Mystery School at Santa Muerte, the Eleusinians, I think that's how you say it, with Persephone and Hades. Things like this that are like philosophies and ideas of death, but I use them on top of my regular practices with the Fae, and using these philosophies and ideas to help further my study and further create ideas, generate like thoughts wasn't the word I was looking for, but it'll work. Generate things that people can debate about, like a workbook of witchcraft. Does this work? Would this work? Like weird alchemy questions I'll post on my Instagram all the time at Kogas101. Kogas 101. By the way. And like this book talks about the difference between the philosophy and the religion. It talks about spell work. Actual spell work is listed in here, although most of it says if you want it to really work, write it yourself. He lists 2 or 3, but as I've mentioned before, if you really put yourself into it, put more of yourself, more of your identity into what you're writing, make it personal to you, just like how they have you rephrase they have you read an article or they have you read a book, and then they ask you on the test in your own words, what is it about? They don't, even if it's an open book, they don't want you to copy and paste onto there. They want your words. They don't want their words. They don't want the book's words. They don't want that guy over there's words that you've been trying to cheat off of. They want yours. So you write it in your own words. You do that with your spells too. Say, you know, the very basics of what you want to say is to summon prosperity into your life financially. Well, maybe you say, can you please help me? I need money. I need cash. Can you help me out? But it talks about how she is a fair trade goddess also, or a deity. I want to call her a goddess. I adore her so much. So fabulous. Oh, she's so precious. Everything about her I read is just wonderful. But that happens a lot with gods and goddesses. I read so much and I'm like, oh, I adore you. You're so great. Here is a gift. Just thinking of you. That happens all the time. I love all the things. And it talks about how she's fair trade. Say you're trying to give someone health that is severely dying, you might lose another loved one. Someone else might die because you wanted to help them. I mean, you helped them, but now they're gone. I mean, you didn't put that specifier, hey, don't take anyone I love. I mean, take that guy over there. Take this weirdo who's super mean. Take him. I mean, you don't want to do that, but if that's in your moral code, do it, I guess. I don't care. I'm not going to judge you. You did it as long as they weren't mine. If they were mine, you're in trouble. But, you know, if you're trying to get someone out of jail and you get them out of jail using one of the workings of La Santa Muerte, and then they get right back in. How do you think that's going to make her feel? That's super disrespectful. Like, you asked for all this help, and then they did the thing and got put back. I ain't helping you again, and if I do, it's going to be like 3 times as much. I am not wasting my time with you. That's what happened. That's what La Santa Muerte would do. No, she's not judging you per se. She's just understanding her worth and aggravation. I'd be super annoyed. Like, you asked for my help to do this thing, like, you know, and you undid it. Why did I do it? I mean, yeah, I was paid, but that's a waste of my time and energy. I'm not going to keep redoing it. I have better things. Better things. She could be solving any other problem, but this is the one you chose and this is the one you redone. No. They talk about the importance of building the relationship with the gods and goddesses that you work with. Here, building your relationship with La Santa Muerte. Don't just show up one day and be like, hey, La Santa Muerte, can you give me like $1 million because I'm poor and I need to bail this hoe out? They're in jail and I need to pay. Nah. Nah, you don't walk up to a stranger and ask for something. Like, no. Say, hi, I got you a flower. Nice to meet you. Okay, thanks. Bye. Come back another day. Hi, neighbor. I brought you a pie. I made it. Would you like some? Oh, you don't like that. Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize you're a vegetarian and this pie has things in it that you can't have. All right, cool. I was thinking of like a pot pie. Well, turns around, comes back. Here's something you actually enjoy. Here's this item I thought you would love that meets your specifications. Because now I know more about you. I got to know you and understand you. Here you go. Oh, you love it? Oh, I'm glad. And then you have like a relationship. That was the conversation with me and the person not talking because they're not really there at the moment that I'm not knowing about. I mean, who knows? Listen, they could be just standing over there and I'm not paying attention. But I don't think she is. I don't see her over there. That would be cool. I'd have to peace out, but that'd be cool. But it talks about the importance of building that relationship, of actually making a personal relationship, giving things. And don't just give things when you want something. As I stated here, you give one thing, you give another thing. You learn about what they like and you give things. It's a friendship relationship. And they kind of talk about that here. You don't just give your friends stuff when you want something, because that's how your friends realize you just want them when you need something. And that's not cool. So they talk about that here and I absolutely adore it. This book took me so long. And another thing I must say is it has pictures. It has pictures. Oh, it's like 3 back-to-back full pages of lovely pictures. And I know I draw in my books and I write in them because it helps me learn. And I don't intend to give these away ever. So it may hurt you, but it doesn't hurt me. And it makes me happy. So I annotate in pink and I highlight in pink and I always write in pink. And drawing at the top, like this little scale, or balance, excuse me. The little egg on that page, the yin yang, the tiny saint figurine that just seemed adorable to me, the little rip. These things, they help me. And I write on my books, so, oh well. But then you talk about all these other things about having that well-rounded intelligence, the good study. There's lots of words in here that get to be defined. I think it's a really great read. Now, one of the negatives I did find with this book is that I really like what I've seen from Christopher Penczak. I haven't fully read any of his texts. I've read pieces here and there and seen references all over the place, and I want to read his book. Specifically, I'm probably going to get Gay Witchcraft first because I want it so bad. But, like, I feel like I've read it because he references him, like, at one point it was, like, 6 pages in a row where asterisk, 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 Gay Witchcraft. On it, like, I want to read Christopher Penczak, but now I feel like I've read it because he seems to, like, worship him. And, I mean, that's cool. Have your favorite authors. I would probably do that with like S. Connolly or Morgan Dialmer. I don't know how to say her name perfectly. Fairy Wicca or Fairy Witchcraft or Fairycraft. That's the actual name of the book, but it's basically like Fairy Wicca. But I adore her writing. It's so precious. I love S. Connolly and their work with demons. That is beautiful, so great, and it's so like comprehensible. Other people like Halo Quinn, adore that book. That's the only one I have, but I absolutely love it. Die-hard fan. Best book ever. Read it like 3 times. At least 3.5 if you count the million times I've skimmed through. Count that. But like, I want to read his book. I didn't want to read Penczak's book because I bought Tomás Prower. I didn't buy Penczak. And that's a negative for me. That's a big negative. I do like the inclusion of the footnotes that have the annotated kind of like sources. I greatly appreciate that a lot for this text, but some of them are like not great to find. And then they list a couple places like you can find churches and things in the United States, which is really great because this is a practice you would see more in the United States. You would see it in Mexico. You wouldn't really see this. I mean, you could see it in like Spain. You could see it in Paris, but it's not as established, which I wish there had been more about if you were practicing this tradition and you couldn't be as localized as it was here. I didn't see as many problems in this one with disclaimers. There were a lot of great disclaimers like, hey, this plant is not legal in the U.S. Watch yourself. Hey, this plant is probably not legal in the U.S. Speaking about cocaine plant, not legal. Marijuana, hit and miss with states. And it talks about the importance of, checking before you use it. I like these disclaimers. Big fan. So this has just been our overall review. Overall, as I hope I've gotten across, I adore it. I've written a couple notes in here about ways that I built my relationship with her prior to getting the book. Trying to understand this deity before having actually formally trained under them. I tried to do what I normally do, which is I am interested. Here is an offering. Here's this thing that means something to me, maybe not to you. Like, I'm a big fan of giving Kit Kats, cotton candy, Mountain Dew, sugar, lots of sugar, flowers. I like sugar, so a lot of candy. But, yeah, they may not like candy, but I do. And I think the gods and goddesses will understand that this is a sacrifice because I'm not eating it. This Kit Kat, I care. If I give you a piece of my Kit Kat, I care. That's how you know. And that's the things I'll do before I've learned more about them and get them the things they like. I first give them a sacrifice from myself that I enjoy. Something that's like, this is important to me. You can have it. This is an offering. Like, hey, what's up? And they didn't talk about that in here, just talking about generally things that you can give and things that you can do, like keeping your altar clean. And I like this. There could have been more talk about how you can arrange your altar or keep it clean. There was mention of having the altar solitary to this deity, which is cool. But overall, I enjoyed this book so much. I highly recommend it. So, thank you for joining me here with Bibliofancy on Sew Stitch Hex. And I hope to cast a spell with you in the next video.